Individuals who are considering podcasting usually fall into one of two camps. Either you're wondering, I don't know what I would talk about. It sounds like a fun idea, but I don't know what I'd talk about. Or on the other camp, it's I always have something important to say. And I'm here to tell you that both of those thoughts can really prevent you from excelling as a podcaster, and one could even prevent you from starting. So in this video, I want to offer some suggestions that will help you pin down your podcast topic.
This is the place for podcasters.
Welcome back, everybody. My name's Brian here with Summit City Studios, and this is the place for podcasters. On this channel, we talk about tips, tools, and tech to help you create a great podcast. Today, I want to talk to those of you who are considering starting a podcast and you're wondering how you choose a topic. I want to offer some suggestions to help you think through to filter your thought process on what it is that you might talk about. Then at the end of this video, I'll offer a word of wisdom to those of you who are considering jumping into the podcasting game, something I do think you need to pay attention to before you really get started. Speaking of getting started, let's go ahead and jump in and talk about how to choose a podcast topic. The first thing I think you are going to want to consider is choosing something that you are passionate about. And this one can be tricky because I think there's a couple different types of passions that we all have. We have those lifelong passions that drive us, the things we want to pursue, the things we've been passionate about, maybe even since we were young kids. We also have passions that kind of come and go. Some of us have more of those than others. So as you consider starting a podcast and choosing a topic, I would suggest choosing something that is really a lifelong passion, which brings me to the second thing I think you need to consider as you choose a podcast topic. And that's, if it's something you're passionate about, it's probably also something that you love to talk about. Because as a podcaster, you are going to talk about that thing a lot. That's the nature of a podcast, right? So choose something that you love to talk about, something that maybe you could stand in front of a group of people or sit across the table over a cup of coffee and talk for hours about without getting bored because you just love to talk about that thing. Maybe it's the thing that your friends tell you to maybe stop talking about. Maybe it's that thing that you get so excited about and wonder why no one else in your circles gets excited about that thing. Because if it's something that you love to talk about, I'm sure there's a group of listeners who would be interested in hearing what you have to say about it. So far, we've talked about something that you're passionate about, something that you love to talk about, and the third thing I would say is choose something that you know a lot about. I feel like I start a lot of these with a word of caution or a word of warning, and so I do want to offer that here. Just because you think you know a lot about a lot of things doesn't mean there's a lot of people who want to hear a lot about those things that you think you know a lot about. So as I talk about considering something that you know a lot about, here's what I want you to filter that idea through, is what are the things that other people ask you about? Or what skills do you have that people regularly come to you to ask for your assistance because they need someone with that skill? Those are the kind of things that I'm talking about. And it's not that just because people in your circle may not value the knowledge you have about a certain thing, what I'm suggesting is those are the things that already identify the value you have to offer to a group of people. And if you know those things already offer that value to that group of people, there's likely a larger population of people who that thing that you know a lot about or that skill that you have to offer would be interested in knowing more about. And finally, the fourth suggestion I would make is to choose something that you have a lot of curiosity about. So maybe you know a lot about it, but you want to learn more. Or it's a topic that you've just always wondered more about. You don't know a lot about it, and you have a lot of curiosity built up to learn more about it. So a podcast about the things that you're learning and sharing with a group of people who don't, maybe they want to know the same things that you're learning, but they don't have the time or don't want to take the time to do the research. So you put in the time to learn, to do the research and share the things that you're learning. Or maybe you do an interview style podcast where you bring on experts in the field about that thing that you want to learn more about. It's a good opportunity to talk to other people and share some things as you are learning them to help others learn the same things right along with you. All right, I promised you I wanted to share a word of wisdom for those of you who are ready to jump into the world of podcasting. But before we go there, I have a question for you. I want to know, what are the topics that currently you're considering for your podcast? Drop it down in the comments and let's help each other narrow down the focus of our podcast topics. Okay, so I promised I'd share a word of wisdom for those of you who are considering the very real possibility of jumping into the world of podcasting. And here it is. Make sure you love what you're doing. So I offer these 4 filters to pass your topic ideas through, because if you're not passionate about it, if you don't love talking about it, and if you don't either know a lot about it or willing to learn more about it, podcasting can be a really difficult place. Growth is slow. Unless you are a really famous person or a well-known brand, your podcast growth is going to be slow. And your podcast analytics, man, they've got a long way to go to catch up with the analytics on your social media channels and even right here on YouTube that you might be used to. So you have to put in some really intentional effort and some really intentional work to grow. But if you do that, your people will find you, and those are the listeners that will be loyal to you because you did the work to choose the right topic for your podcast. If you're an individual, a business owner, or someone who's part of an organization that's considering starting a podcast, visit me at summitcitystudios.com to find out how I can help you create a great podcast.